YouTubers, family and friends, I've had several requests about Philippines gun ownership, so I'm going to run through that with you guys today. This is Edward. I live in northwestern Mindanao Island, the Philippines, and I'm speaking to you from experience. My Filipino wife owns firearms, and I can tell you how that kind of applies to foreigners and what you can and can't do and what you should and shouldn't do, and the costs of most of that and what it's going to cost you, and also in time. When we first purchased our firearms that we have, which is 4 different separate firearms we purchased back in 2018. It took us a year and a half to go through all the requirements and the waiting to get the licenses from Manila. And maybe it took us a little bit longer because we live in Mindanao as far as the logistics of the transport, but I would say it's going to be many months, up to a year and a half, before you get your guns in your hand. So I'm going to go over that with you guys today. Please, any questions or anything I might have missed that you guys have questions about, please put it in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions about what I know. Like I say, I'm just giving you my experience with it, but online, you can go online and get a lot of information. And you can get it from your local PNP police station. We have several friends and godparents to my children that are PNP police officers, so we get a lot of lessons and advice and things from those guys that are in the service. So here's the whiteboard. I'm up in the office in the tower here at Golden Palace, and this is what you got here. At the very beginning, you have to be a Filipino citizen to own a firearm in the Philippines. And most people don't own firearms in the Philippines because they're expensive. There's lots of and it's time consuming to obtaining all the licenses and the permits. So it's not only costs you lots of money, but lots of time. So only if you're really basically here for life, you should be interested in getting yourself firearms for protection. And me being in Mindanao, a lot of people say this is the most dangerous state of the 3 states in the Philippines, and that might be true. I after 10 years living here, have never had a problem. I'm a gun advocate in the U.S. I had many pistols and rifles and did a lot of hunting and target shooting, and it's just something I grew up with. And so if you're here in the Philippines and you're a foreigner, as long as you are married and have a Filipino spouse, she can get all the guns that you want, as long as you have the money to pay and the time to pay for all the requirements and the licenses and the permits. And then there's certain things that you have to do as a courtesy for your local PNP. If you want to shoot guns on your property, the local PNP will come over. And if you have to have a big enough piece of property, and you have to have a safe area to be shooting, and they will give you the okay or the not okay whether you can target practice on your land. And for the most part, they're gonna say yes. As long as you have a big enough piece of property and it's halfway safe, right, guys? Because we're all responsible for what we do with our weapons or firearms, no matter where you are in the world. So, if you screw up, you're going to have to pay the price of screwing up, no matter where you are. So, anyways, I'll get on with it here. Uh, like I say, you must be a Filipino citizen. So if you're a foreigner, and I'm relating this whole thing to my situation because I'm a foreigner spouse to a Filipina in the Philippines, right? So this is how I'm able to conceal carry handguns on me or shoot rifles or shotguns on my land, as long as the local PNP knows that we have them, which they will know through all the permitting and licensing. They know exactly what you have. But as long as they approve your land for target practicing, you can target practice whenever you want. If you have a lot of shooting going on, it would be best, then they recommend that you give them a call that morning and just say, hey, we're going to be doing shooting a lot of rounds on my property today or whenever, you have the shooting target practicing event going on. Being on your land, it's no problem as long as they have a heads up, right? Because there'll be a lot of people wondering, why there's all the firing going on, and that's all fine and okay as long as the PNP knows what's going on there, right? So, anyways, let's continue. As a foreigner, married to a Filipina, I'm able to possess and carry a handgun concealed as long as my Filipino wife has obtained a concealed carry permit. Well, she cannot obtain a concealed carry permit until you go through all the other requirements that are involved. So if you get down to, I'll mention one other thing there. A foreigner carrying a handgun must be within eyesight. So if you're designated as the bodyguard and you have a concealed carry on your body, and she designates you as the bodyguard, she gives you her weapon that you guys have purchased and you can conceal it and be her bodyguard, but you must be within eyesight of her if you leave your property with your gun. Okay, that's if you leave your property with your gun. If you are on your property, you can do anything you want with your guns. And that includes the foreigner, because your wife owns it, you own the property with your wife as a joint owner in the property, as long as your name is on the ownership title of the land or the deed of sale, then you have just as much right to carry that handgun as she does, or rifle and target practice. But she must be on the property with you. Okay? The only thing with eyesight that comes into play is if you leave your property with a concealed carry, because you have to be in with eyesight because you don't have a permit to carry as a foreigner. Your wife has the permit, concealed carry permit. That's why she has to be within eyesight of you if you're the one carrying the weapon. So that's how that goes. So then the ownership licenses. After you've completed all the requirements to be able to obtain a type 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 firearms license, that's about 5,000 pesos or $100 to go through all the requirements and physicals and everything that they require you to come up with through the application to apply for one of the 5 types of firearms. So type 1, 2 firearms. So that license, a type 1 license, you cannot have a center fire rifle with a type 1 or a type 2. No center fire rifles. So the only rifle that you can have is a 22 or 22 Magnum. That's the only rifles that you can have with a type 1 or 2 license. A type 3 license is your first license that you can own center fire rifles or high powered rifles or a 223 or any of the bigger caliber rifles, like for an AR or a 308 or whatever you want to buy as far as rifles bigger than a 22 caliber. So then all those 5 types shows you how many firearms that you're allowed to have under each type and shows you the cost of each one. Type 1, 2 firearms costs you 7,500 pesos, and that type 1 license is good for 10 years. All 5 types are good for 10 years now. They just changed that for the last couple years. It used to be only good for 2 years. Now it's good for 10 years. So then your type 2 is good for 5 firearms, and that's 12,500 pesos for 10 years. Type 3 is 17.5. Type 4, 22,500. Type 5 is 50,000 pesos. That's basically what they call unlimited. It's any amount of rifles, shotguns, or handguns you're okay to buy that's over 15 pieces. So that's 50,000 for 5 years. Then once you've obtained one of the type 1 through 5 licenses, then you're able to buy whatever gun that you want from any gun store in the Philippines. You just have to show them your license in order to buy the gun that you want. Then in order to, and then once you buy that gun, you have to pay 8,000 pesos per piece of gun that you buy. So if you buy 10, if you have let's say you have a type 3 license, so you're gonna buy 10 firearms and you buy 10 firearms, then you have to pay 8,000 pesos for each one as a individual firearm fee for each firearm you have. So if you buy 10 firearms, that's 80,000 pesos that you have to pay to the licensing bureau. So there's your third cost. First it's requirements, then it's for the cost for your type of license, then it's a cost 8,000 pesos per firearm that you buy. And then if you want, at the very last one, if you want to have a concealed carry permit, which allows you to carry your guns concealed wherever you want, you have to have the concealed carry permit, which is 25,000 pesos, and that's only good for 2 years. So every 2 years you have to dish out 25,000 pesos to have a concealed carry permit. And if you don't have a concealed carry permit and you want to go somewhere to some other person's property, they have a gun range or an approved place where you're going to have some weapons competition or whatever it is, you just have to make sure that there's what's called a transport permit. You could get a transport permit, or you can just put it in a case and have it cased when you're traveling. But you got to be really careful of that, because if you don't have your transport permit and you get pulled over, you could get yourself in some trouble unless you're associated with the PNP or you have a police officer with you, etc., etc. Just got to read between the lines on that, guys. So that's pretty much all I got. That's about 15 minutes there, so take a snapshot of this, and it's great to have the extra security, knowing that you have the firepower to, if anything ever goes down, which, like I say, I've never been in a problem here in the Philippines in 10 years, and I don't really expect one. But it's always good to have that security blanket, sitting somewhere that you can grab it on a moment's notice if anything ever goes down. And plus, it's wonderful to have for target practicing, etc. So there you go. That's it. And please put in the comments if you guys have any questions whatsoever. I'll do my best to answer the facts and my experience of what I've dealt with. So I love you guys and take care. God bless. Bye-bye.